Today I'm going to give you my 3 top SIBO tips. And guys, my SIBO was so bad I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And after I implemented these 3 tips, I gained 30 pounds. I looked like a skeleton. I gained 30 pounds in just 2 months after all the holistic stuff didn't work. But when I did these 3 things, I looked like a normal man. I looked like a normal person. So the first tip is to understand what SIBO actually is. And if you look at this from a modern medicine perspective, they have no clue. If you look at it from a holistic medicine perspective, they are just as clueless. We want to look at this from what we call a German new medicine perspective. Our brain controls everything in the body, and this is not a new understanding our logic that we're sharing. If you looked at the old GI doctors, if you looked at Dr. Crohn's and you looked at lab studies before the 1970s, before Big Pharma took over, they were certain that gut issues were caused by stress. Stress, especially a conflict shock, a stressful situation that catches us off guard, our body goes, oh my God, we gotta put an organ into overdrive to help us survive this stressful situation. And for those of us with SIBO, the brain decided that it was best to put our intestines into overdrive to help us overcome this conflict. And then if we've been dealing with SIBO for years and years and years and years, we have post-traumatic stress syndrome, essentially with this conflict that originally put our gut into overdrive. So what's happening is with the small intestine, what's the function of the small intestine? It's controlled by the very old part of the brain called the brainstem. So there's something I need for my survival. Let's imagine I had to take a school test and I didn't have a number 2 pencil, so I failed the test. I had to redo college, all that stuff. My brain is going to go, oh my God, number 2 pencils are super important to my survival. I got and this might haunt the person for the rest of their life. Oh my God, who misplaced my shoe? I need my shoe. Who misplaced my glasses? Who misplaced my phone? There's this thing that's important to my survival. I need to get a hold of it. In all the brainstem, if you think about how old, the most primitive life forms on Earth behave, they're just cells. And all these cells do is they float around, they bump into things, and they decide if they want to absorb it or if they want to crap it out. That is literally their life, and our life is not much different. We just have eyeballs to help us navigate, but we have to get things. If we don't have things, we can't survive. So the reason why your intestines, we're gonna talk about this more here, but we need to understand that food's not causing this, that toxins aren't causing this. A messed up gut microbiome. Guys, I've seen so many people choke down billions, trillions, gazillions of probiotics and have nothing to show for their SIBO. There are people who have bad, they have SIBO on paper, but they don't have symptoms. What is going on here? So when someone is faced with a conflict, this is the intestines right here. I can't absorb this number 2 pencil because it doesn't matter. That's just what the brain thinks. I need to absorb number 2 pencil so I can pass this college test and get on with my life. So when they're conflict active, the gut is going to slowly develop extra gut cells. Okay, they're going to look like this, or they might be a flat growth like this. Either be a cauliflower or a flat growth, depending on how the person subconsciously perceives the conflict. And so while these extra gut cells are growing, there's actually bacteria and fungi growing along with it. And during the conflict active phase, these bacteria and fungi are dormant. They're kind of like waiting around. But when the conflict gets resolved, let's say a couple of days later, they say, oh, that's okay. You can retake the test, and, they retake the test and they pass and they get to graduate college. Conflict resolution. We don't need these extra gut cells anymore. The bacteria and the fungi, which they originate from your own cells. If you study something called the Somatid Cycle, which is from terrain theory, they see bad bacteria and fungi and cancer cells come out of our own healthy cells. Okay? They are a part of us. We evolved with them. We are more bacteria and fungi than we are human cells, whatever that means. Our brain has control over the bacteria and fungi in our body, and when it's in the gut, it is dictated by the conflict. I've seen too many people not be breastfed. I've seen too many people not take probiotics and take antibiotics every single year, and they don't have SIBO and they don't have major health issues. And I've seen too many health nuts take probiotics over and over and over again, and take prebiotics, probiotics, liquid form, refrigerated form, soil-based, spore, whatever. And they still have nothing to show for it. They still look like a skeleton. They still can't eat like a normal person. They can't go out on a date and have dessert and wine with their significant other. And it's because we're not addressing the root cause. The root cause is the stress controlling the cell proliferation and cell removal. And the extra bacteria and fungi will not go away until the brain says that this conflict is over, and we can get rid of these extra gut cells, the bad bacteria and fungi remove these extra gut cells, and the person has fully come to peace with the conflict. They're no longer suffering from PTSD of the butthole of this conflict. That is what we're looking for. So this is called German New Medicine. Learning the basics of German New Medicine is super important because it actually tells us what our body is doing. And I have lots more videos on my YouTube channel on how to do that. Usually, the problem with German New Medicine, which I love, usually when you go to learn German New Medicine, they're teaching you how your eyeballs work, how your toenails work. Well, we only really need to understand how the gut works for now. I know you're a busy person. You just want to get better as fast as possible. So my tool to help you get better as fast as possible is something called my 13-day protocol workbook, where I help you understand what your gut is doing as fast as possible with the least amount of effort. If I had to do this all over again, this is what I would use. And I have a webinar that will appear right after this, right after I get to these next two tips. So the second one is diet. Do not follow any crazy diets. Low FODMAPs diet, vegan diet, vegetarian diet, carnivore diet. Do not do any of those diets. Keep eating normally. Now, it's good to get organic food into you. It's good to make sure you're getting the right nutrients and maybe supplement certain nutrients. But being a psycho about diet is only going to make these things worse. You can't blame food. You can't blame energy and nutrients for your symptoms. Now, maybe when you forgot your number 2 pencil at your class, you had a piece of candy in your mouth or you had gum in your mouth, and now your brain thinks that every time that you chew on gum, something bad's about to happen. There are food intolerances that can happen that way. I used to be extremely allergic to lattes. I wasn't allergic to coffee. I wasn't allergic to milk. Lattes, instant diarrhea. And that was because I broke up with a girlfriend over a latte one point in time. And then, every time my brain saw a latte, I went, oh my God, we're going to get broken up with. Put the gut into overdrive and let's crap our pants. You're welcome. I helped you with this. We have a very bad design, if you ask me. I'm not very pleased with our bodily design. But we cannot blame diet. Instead, what you want to do, and if you do want to follow a diet, I suggest you follow the Weston A. Price dietary principles. Weston A. Price was a dentist in the 1930s, and he went and he witnessed what super healthy primitive populations were eating. And they were so healthy they had 0 cavities. He was a dentist and he wanted to see why they had 0 cavities. So these people ate super nutrient-dense foods. That's pretty straightforward math. They had all sorts of different types of diets. Some ate a lot of grains or a few, a lot of meat, a lot of dairy. seafood. It just depended on where they lived. But they pretty much essentially just ate the most nutrient-dense foods in their environment. But I did not get better following that diet because I had the stress in my life putting my gut in and out of overdrive. So stress. Start to look, like walk around with a piece of paper or with your phone and start taking notes. Like, what sent me to the bathroom? What is something important to my survival that I cannot absorb? And I get angry. I get angry when I cannot absorb it. And if you have constipation, it's more going to be a more fearful. Think about it. Fight or flight. We have a fight or flight response. I have a threat in front of me and I can fight it, or I can run away, or I can freeze. Diarrhea is a very fight or flight response. Fear, constipation, and playing dead is a very like play dead, freeze response. So when you're angry, if you're angry, you know, what things that make you angry, and it might be a repressed anger, it might be annoyance, it might be, you know, like somebody does something but you feel like you can't say anything back. It might be an anger, an annoyance, and a frustration, a resentment towards something. When you have to run to the bathroom, what couldn't I absorb and I was angry about it? When you are constipated for days, what was something I was fearful about, fearful that I could not absorb? Your life is dependent on things. All of us, we need things, we need money, we need figurative things like love, care, and affection, and time, energy, bed sheets, glasses, food, water. Like, we need things to survive. And when we perceive that we don't have access to these things, and it's like in a shocking manner, that's what prompts the brain to put our intestines into overdrive and cause SIBO. The bacteria and or in this case, bacteria is simply your brain putting your gut in and out of overdrive, and the bacteria are aiding with the cell proliferation and the cell removal. That's all that's going on. You have to focus on the stress. And the best way to do this, again, I love German New Medicine, but it doesn't give us good methods for finding the stress and resolving the conflict, resolving that PTSD that's putting our butthole in and out of overdrive. And that is why I've made this 13-day protocol where I show you how to do this day by day by day by day. Only 13 days. Like, guys, I have seen people's food intolerances disappear overnight. I've seen people gain 10, 20 pounds in a month or two after years of doing all sorts of crazy holistic stuff. This is it right here. You don't need to do any more crazy research. This is the beginning of the end of your SIBO, and this is your step-by-step playbook on how to do it. So go watch that webinar, and I go into more details on all this thing. This is just a very quick video that's quite honestly better than 99% of the other information out there that you'll pay thousands of dollars for. So, all right, guys, let me know in the comments below what other videos you would like me to do, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.